All right, YouTube, what is going on? It is Zaya here from Zaya&TheSteelers back with another video. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about the expectations placed on the 3-0 Pittsburgh Steelers. So if you guys are Steelers fans or you enjoy NFL content in general, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Shout out to the people who have subscribed already. And shout out to the future subscribers, man. Also, let's get a shout out to the members. If you guys would like to support me and this channel more, be sure to hit that join button down in the description below. And can you believe it, man? It seems like so long ago that I was sitting here. It was me versus 1,000 people. It was me versus 10,000 people. It was me versus ESPN, PFF, Fox, CBS, and all other media outlets trying to convince you guys that the Pittsburgh Steelers were going to be a team this year. Trying to convince you guys that the Pittsburgh Steelers were going to be a threat this year. And it wasn't only just me, but, I am the one making the videos. But it was a lot of Steelers fans out there, too. A lot of the people in the comments and my comments saying, hey, man, they're sleeping on the Steelers, and we'll see when the actual football is played. And here we are in week 4, going into week 4, September 26, 2024. And we are the 4th ranked team on this PFT power ranking, man. Now, obviously, PFT, I believe this is Pro Football Talk. They're not the end-all, be-all. Really, the power rankings are subjective at this point. I mean, there are teams that have to be up here, for example, like the Pittsburgh Steelers, because we are 3-0. But if you look down here, we got to look all the way down to find the Seahawks, who are also 3-0. Maybe they should be higher up. Like this list, this specific list example, I'm just using it because the Steelers are on here. But we also have, shout out to First Take, man, big Stephen A. Smith. We made ESPN today for a positive reason. The positive reason why is Stephen A. has us as the 5th ranked NFL team. Now, if you don't believe Stephen A., if you don't believe PFT, if you don't believe PFF, if you don't believe ESPN, if you don't believe Fox, if you don't believe CBS, if you don't believe such and such, believe me when I tell you, the Steelers are definitely at this very moment a top 5 NFL team. I don't think it's crazy to say that, especially when we have the #1 defense in the NFL, especially when we have a thriving young offense who, despite injuries, despite some mishaps, is looking better with each week. We are for sure a top 5 team. So, this isn't a crazy take. Once again, you can rank them how you want. The Seahawks now are 4 on here, but on PFT's thing, they were all the way at the bottom. So, rank them how you want, but just make sure you leave the Pittsburgh Steelers in there, man, because we definitely are a top 5 team. Now, with all that said, we know how this team goes. We know how this team is. If you've been watching for a while, especially in the Mike Tomlin era, once we start getting those expectations, man, once we start being supposed to win games, once we're going into week 4 at 3-0 and we're playing the Colts, who haven't really had the best time, and they have a young quarterback who's prone to throw interceptions. Once we're going into this game, it's like it all falls down. No Kanye West, man. Shout out to Kanye West, sort of. Maybe not on this video. Maybe I shouldn't shout Kanye out on this video, but I'm just being real with you guys. It all falls down once we start getting these expectations, man. And I'm just hoping, I'm just praying that we can continue to grind out these games. I'm hoping that we can continue to be this good team. Now, of course, I'm not expecting us to go undefeated. Eventually we are going to lose. If we don't want to lose and we want to just win the whole thing, fuck it, let's win the whole thing. But of course we are, eventually going to lose here. But the fact that we're 3-0 and the schedule, we have the Colts up and then the Cowboys are up next, and such and such teams. At this very moment, we're a top 5 team, top 4 team to PFT. At this very moment, man, I like us against any single team in the NFL. In fact, I wish we could speed it up and face the Kansas City Chiefs, because I want to see exactly how good we are. Because if we can beat the Chiefs, if we can have a pulse versus the Chiefs, then we can beat any single team in the NFL. You know why? Because the Chiefs typically beat every single team in the NFL with the refs' help, man. A lot of referee help for the Kansas City Chiefs sometimes, man. I don't know. They be freeze framing these guys. They be showing holdings that don't be getting called. They be showing offsides that don't be getting called. But somehow, some way, the Chiefs, it just always works out for the Chiefs. But that's neither here nor there, But they've been one of the better NFL teams for a while, of course, back-to-back Super Bowl champions, looking to make that a three-peat. A three-peat in the NFL is insane. The fact that they even went back-to-back is insane. But you see, I'm setting it up because I want to see how good we actually look. I want to see if we can pull out that game. Same thing with the Bills. The Bills, of course, they're in the AFC. I'm still down on the Bills. I know they're 3-0 and Josh Allen is hooping, but I'm still down on the Bills. Maybe I'm salty because they moved our playoff game, that game that we were going to win, and then we play them on a completely different day, completely different situation. They beat us. And low-key, if Mason Rudolph doesn't throw an interception and Josh Allen doesn't go crazy, we could have won that game. Had no linebackers, had no safeties, had Mason Rudolph out there playing. We still possibly could have won that game. And so I want to see us against the Bills. I want to see us against the Chiefs, because I really want to know how good this team is. Everybody keeps pointing to the fact that we're playing we played Atlanta, the same Atlanta team that beat Philadelphia. We played them. They're not good enough. Then we played Denver, that same Denver team who took down the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then they're not good enough. And then we played the Chargers, but guess what? Justin Herbert got hurt. And, the LA Chargers, everybody loves them. Preseason playoff favorites. I'm sure Colin Cowherd was like, yeah, the Chargers, they're going to win it all. Like, you know what I'm saying? That team that everybody has all these expectations for, once we beat them, then it's like, oh, they're a fraudulent team. And Justin Herbert, he got hurt 3.5 quarters into the game, in a game where your defense allowed -5 yards for the whole second half. You know what I'm saying? That game, but Justin Herbert got hurt, so it doesn't count. So that's 3 straight weeks that we have played a game and it just doesn't count, to other people, to us, to Steelers fans, to people who actually watch the NFL, to people who are, like not biased, people who aren't just hating on us. We understand that you have to beat who you play. Like, you can only beat who you play, right? But we also understand too that these wins look a little bit better in hindsight. Now we're facing the Colts. That's not going to count because the Colts suck. Then we're playing the Cowboys, and nobody likes the Cowboys, so that's not going to count because the Cowboys suck. So I really want to push it forward. I really want to play the Kansas City Chiefs right now, tomorrow, honestly, because, we're as healthy as possible right now. We've been taking injuries left and right. Everybody's getting hurt, and we'll talk about it here in a second. But yeah, I would like to play Kansas City. I would like to play one of these better NFL teams just so that way I can actually power scale it. But right now, I'm telling you guys, I'm feeling very confident about this team. I'm feeling very good about this team. And I think, I think we have a real chance to go far in the playoffs this year. The goal is one playoff win. I know the goal is actually a Super Bowl, but just realistically, one playoff win, and that is a sign of progression. One playoff win and re-sign the whole team. One playoff win and fucking max Najee Harris out. You know what I'm saying? That's all we need. If we can get that done, everybody gets a new contract, including Russell Wilson, who is, you know what I'm saying? We'll talk about Russell Wilson here in a little bit. But Russell Wilson, we can even give him a new contract if we win a playoff game, just because that is what we've been chasing. That is what we've been getting clowned for and memed for this whole time. So whether it's 3-0, 2-1, 1-2, 0-3, as long as we can hit the playoffs and make the play and win a playoff game, that's all that matters to me. But the fact that we are 3-0 and looking like one of the better NFL teams to this day, it makes me feel happy. It makes me feel good. And you guys should feel good out there too. Once again, though, as far as future expectations, we got to take this week by week. I know we have a lot of dip on our chips. I've been having a lot of dip on my chips since the preseason, since the offseason, since the draft, since I thought we were getting Brandon Ayuk. You know what I'm saying? I've been having a lot of dip on my chip. But I've been consistent, and I really think we are a threat. I just didn't think we were a bottom-feeding team is all, I don't think that was crazy to say in the preseason, and now it is definitely not crazy to say that. I didn't think we were going to be this bottom-feeding team, and Mike Tomlin was finally going to have a losing season this year. I just couldn't see that, and, a lot of people could see it. A lot of people out there, they were like, the Steelers, they're falling off. This is their year, blah, 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 blah. And guess what? You guys are wrong 3 weeks into the season, so we will see how it actually ends up finishing. Maybe we will win the Super Bowl. Maybe we won't. But as long as we can get a playoff win, that's all good to me. It's all fine and dandy to me. Maybe we'll fuck around and get a bye too, because I think we are the number 1 seed in the AFC, if not right behind the Bills, but we're past Kansas City. So, we will see about that. Next up, of course, as I talked about, the number 1 team defense through week 3. We've allowed 8.7 points a game, man. That is actually crazy. We've allowed, and this is 3 weeks, mind you, 3 weeks, 3 straight games that we've played. And, they're not real NFL teams, but maybe this defense is just real, Maybe this defense is just real elite. You ever think of that? Nobody's thought of that, but the proof is in the pudding. The stats are right there to show you. We've allowed, literally, if we get a touchdown and a field goal, we win the fucking game. That's 10 points we can win with the way this defense is playing. It's been fantastic. And I talked about the 2019 year. I talked about me seeing great defenses before. But you guys remember week 1 against the Bengals? That to me in a single game performance, that week 1 game against the Bengals was the best I think I've ever seen a defense play in a game, in a vacuum. You know what I'm saying? The expectations that the Bengals had, the plays that we made, the fact that we were able to hold them for the whole game and our offense just couldn't do shit. Our defense, mind you, that defense couldn't even get a break. Now we're allowing the defense to get a break because our offense is moving. It would be a 3-and-out defense. You're right back on there. Oh, you got an interception. Guess what? We went 3-and-out and you're right back out there. Guess what? You got a fumble. Guess what? Is it a 3-and-out again and you're back out there? You know what I'm saying? Our defense would be on the field for fucking 4 hours a game sometimes, and they'd still be playing good. But now that we've allowed them to catch their breath, now that we've allowed them to get some Gatorade, now that we've allowed them to, have some snacks or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Now that we've allowed them to actually sit down, get a break, now they're allowing 8.7 points a game, and that is just over a touchdown, is less than 10 points. The way that they're playing has been fantastic. And of course, just like we're 3-0, of course, maybe this is going to go up, but it's good to enjoy it now. It's good to like reflect on this moment, because you never know what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? You never know if we're just going to collapse. We're very prone to just collapse. We're very prone to collapse with these expectations that we have on us. But for now, we got to just enjoy it. We got to just ride it out. And this is a great picture. I love everybody in this picture, honestly. And then we got the #1 defense in the NFL. I did not see that coming. I knew we would have a really good defense, but the fact that we were literally #1, I just didn't see that coming, man. So shout out to the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Shout out to Omar Khan. Next up, this is a fun one. Before Justin Fields, do you guys know who the Steelers or the last Steelers quarterback to go 3-0 in their first 3 starts with the team was? Do you guys know? I will let you guys out there think. Put your answers down in the comments. Who was the last quarterback to go 3-0? Ladies and gentlemen, it was Devlin Duck Hodges, man. I know y'all remember. I talked about the 2019 year. This is how good this defense was the fact that Duck Hodges was out there starting 3-0. Because our defense was just like that. But, he came out. He gave us a nice little, run there. Yeah, him and Mason Rudolph were just fumbling that #1 quarterback spot, man, that whole year. I believe there were some injuries, too. I don't want to go too crazy. But, yeah, that Duck year was fun. It really wasn't fun, but it was just fun to see how well a defense could carry, because we were coming off of our offense being like the big part of us, and the defense always letting us down. And so it just flipped. You know what I'm saying? It just flipped that year. So it was fun to watch the defense do their thing. But on offense, that is when all this shit started. That is when the sleepless nights started. That is when the 7 points a game started, So Duck Hodges, he was the last one to go 3-0. Now it's Justin Fields. I believe the guy before that was Big Ben. If not, then it was like Charlie Batch or some shit. But yeah, this is excellent company for Justin Fields to be in. Big Ben, Duck Hodges, and Justin Fields, man. Gotta love it. Next up, so this is actually a quote tweet here. Patrick Surtain II versus #1 wide receivers this season. You can see DK Metcalf, 3 receptions, 29 yards. George Pickens, 2 receptions, 29 yards. And Mike Evans, 2 receptions for 17 yards. So a very nice time out of Pat Surtain, right? The second, right? A very good time. But if you guys actually did watch the Broncos game, you know that George Pickens was lighting Pat Surtain up the whole time, and a lot of plays got called back. So you can see Justin Fields right now, he's rolling out. He's going to find George Pickens deep. This is still the best throw I think I've ever seen. An amazing catch by George Pickens. Absolutely lit him up. Next up, we're in the red zone. George Pickens, what you're going to do? He's going to score a touchdown, but guess what? That play got called back. Next up, fake run to Jaylen Warren. Justin Fields loading it up. And what's that? That is defensive pass interference, ladies and gentlemen. So that has 3 plays that if they work, we would have, let's say, 30 to 40 more yards here. Another 10 more with that touchdown and a touchdown, and then another 20 more if Pat Surtain didn't cheat. That's 80 yards, a touchdown. Pat Surtain, you did not lock up George Pickens, man. He didn't. Mr. Bryce Mile High Mims, he did not lock up George Pickens. I don't know how it looks for DK Metcalf and Mike Evans. I love doing the whole no context thing with Big Joey Porter Jr., man. If this was me making this video, I would do the same thing. I would do the same thing that Bryce did. You know what I'm saying? But since I'm playing defense now, since I seen George Pickens absolutely cooking Pat Surtain the whole game, I can't let him get this off, man. So that is why you can't just watch the box score. That is why you can't just stat sheet read, because George Pickens was having Pat Surtain's lunch low key, and it just got called back. A bunch of plays got called back, and if they didn't, his stat line would have looked crazy, and this whole tweet would have been irrelevant, But I get it. I understand, because once again, Joey Porter Jr., he'd be locking people up too, even if he doesn't. I'm just going to say it, we could just pull up the box score, So I get it, it's all fun, but yeah, he did not lock up George Pickens, ladies and gentlemen. Get him off this list. Get him out of here. But all that to say, too, I want to take it back to this throw right here, because this throw right here, this is an amazing fucking play right here. I just cannot believe it got called back, man. Broderick Jones, I understand that happens, but tough, man. That is so tough. And George Pickens, he is so due for a fucking touchdown, man. If anybody is going to score a touchdown next week, it is going to be George Pickens. And if it is not George Pickens, it is going to be Najee Harris. And if it's not either of them, ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and place $5 on Connor Hayward, because if it's not those two, I don't know who the hell is going to get a touchdown. Type shit. I don't know, man. If it's not those two, it must be Connor Hayward. Next up, we have another Baku tweet. Shout out to Baku, man. We can see, let's watch this video from Brian Baldinger here. This is about Broderick Jones.
Broderick Jones didn't like the attention he got from some penalties he had last week. First play, he gets Joey Bosa on
Big Joey Bosa.
Maybe he just got tired of listening to it and all of the noise and the rat poison that was out there about his play. So he just took it all out on Joey Bosa on the first play. You can't get any more dominant than that.
You cannot.
Broderick Jones letting the league know.
Let him know.
That ain't me.
That ain't me.
Last week ain't me.
That ain't me, man. So shout out to Broderick Jones. Shout out to this commentary from Brian Baldinger. And then Baku said, stuff like this is why I refuse to label Brod as a bust, man. And for sure, I don't think, unless you're just an insane person, unless you just hate the Steelers or There's a lot of Steelers fans that hate the Steelers. But that's another conversation for another time. But unless you just hate the Steelers, like, there is no way you could just be out on Broderick Jones yet. Of course, what we've done with like putting him at left tackle, right tackle, backup, first string, third string, all of that doesn't help, and probably what led to the penalties and the holding and stuff like that. And we get it. We don't want to see that. And there is no excuse for taking away a touchdown. There is no excuse from taking away from George Pickens' stat line. I get that. And, we're all frustrated and mad. But, he's not a bust, man. He's not a bust. We got to get over that. He's definitely not a bust. We got to just give him some time to cook. We got to just allow him to actually play on the field, And so, and then on top of that too, in year one, in his rookie season, there was a lot of positives. So like I tried not to overreact. I definitely talked about it because, I'm a Steelers fan and I'm just talking about what I'm seeing on the field. And on the field, it just wasn't looking good for Broderick Jones. But I never was like, yeah, he's going to be a bust and like this was an L pick. I never did that. And we shouldn't do that. We just got to continue to give him time. Obviously a first round pick, you want a little more, I guess, initially, immediately. But, Big Dan Moore, man, you just can't stop the guy. Dan Moore, he is something else. He is a beast. He is, he's just sitting people down. So Broderick Jones, it is what it is. But yeah, he was never going to be a bust, man. Well, we will continue to watch Broderick's career play out. But yeah, he was for sure never going to be a bust, and I don't think I said that. And hopefully you guys out there weren't thinking that either. If you weren't thinking that, maybe you're early to the party, maybe you're right, but I just think it's a little too early to call that. Next. Oh, and some sadder news here. We do have some injuries to talk about, as Alex Highsmith is going to miss the next 2 to 3 games, and Corey Trice is going to go on the IR. So starting off with the Alex Highsmith injury, of course, we don't want to see Alex Highsmith be hurt. We want to see Alex Highsmith play. However, the elephant in the room is we do have Nick Herbig, and Nick Herbig has been balling, and so now we're going to get to see this guy in actual NFL action, starting. We're going to see how good he actually is. And last week, he got 2 sacks when he came in against the Chargers. He's dominated the preseason year in and year out. Whenever we do bring him in, he is a guy who makes plays. And so, somehow, if Nick Herbig isn't good, then ladies and gentlemen, the eye test is flawed. It's broken. The eye test is the worst test ever if Nick Herbig isn't good, And on top of that, too, depending on how good Nick Herbig is, we're going to need to figure out how to get him, Alex, and TJ all on the field at the same time. I get the depth is good. I get having the option to put in Nick Herbig is good. But we at some point, we got to stop, we got to stop holding them back. And I don't know how. I don't know if we put him on the inside, Nick Herbig specifically. I don't know if we put him on the inside, but then we have Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson and Landon and Cole Holcomb. Like, we have people on the inside already. I don't know what the fuck we do. I'll be honest. I really don't know what to do. But if Nick Herbig is balling, you know what I'm saying? If Nick Herbig is like a piece, maybe at the deadline we do some shit. Maybe we trade. I don't know. And once again, he has great depth, and I love that for him. I love that for us. But you know what I'm saying? If he's playing that good, there's just, you know what I'm saying? We got to get him out there on the field more. Just like Alex Highsmith, we got to get him on the field. Hopefully he comes back fully ready, fully healthy. And then Corey Trice, this one is definitely a bit more sad because being on the IR is a little spooky. That means he's going to miss a significant amount of time. And of course, this is somebody who's already missed a full season with an ACL injury. He's someone who got hurt in college a lot. That's kind of why he fell. But when he is healthy, when he is playing, the guy's a baller, man. He has an interception for us. He's made our secondary look pretty good. The guy is a hooper, man. It just is what it is. And so we're hoping Corey Trice, we're prayers out for him. We're hoping he can come back healthy because he can really contribute to this team. He's a vital part of this team, honestly, because we look at our cornerback room. I do believe we just signed CJ Henderson to our practice squad. If that's not his name, I apologize. But he was a former first-round pick. We did just sign him. We also got James Pierre back, who was supposed to be pretty much for special teams, but now with his injury, James Pierre, we've seen him out there in NFL action, man. Don't sleep on James Pierre. We have seen him out there, and so we just have to hope once again that James Pierre can play well, that CJ can play well, Dante Jackson can continue playing well, Deshaun Elliott at that safety position can continue holding it down, our secondary in general continue holding it down. But we definitely are going to miss Corey Trice. Like this one was a tough blow, and with between this and like what's been happening with our offensive line, it is getting a little ridiculous, these injuries. Like, hey, I'm going to need us to turn the sliders down. I'm going to need us to turn the injuries off. Fuck it, turn the injuries off for the Steelers, man, because it's getting a little ridiculous. But at least at this very moment, not to, Corey Trice is hurt, Alex Highsmith is hurt, and that sucks. Like, prayers out for him. But we're still in a good spot. You know what I'm saying? We're still in a good spot. We will have to see how these injuries actually develop and how it'll affect us long term. But I think right now we're still in a good spot. There is not, and of course the whole O-line too. We're still in a good spot though. There is no cause for panic just yet. But these injuries, it's getting a little spooky. It definitely is getting a little spooky. I'm getting concerned. We just got to stay positive. Next man up mentality. Hopefully the cornerback room doesn't just implode. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully we just, we don't fucking, we're just not horrible again. That would be really spooky if Corey Trice goes down and now all of a sudden we just can't stop anything. That would be really spooky. But I'm hoping for the best for Corey Trice, not only, for the Steelers this year, but just for the future and his NFL career in the future, because he's dealt with a lot of injuries. He's also dealt with a lot just off the field in general. Corey Trice, man, he's a great story if you guys wanted to like really look into him. Him and Nick Herbig, man, because when I started doing these Zay and the Steelers videos, these were people who were like shining in the training camp last season. And, I feel like attached to them because I was like talking about like, man, these guys, they're going to be great players for us. And like, I hadn't seen them play yet, but I was just like hearing these stories and hearing all this stuff that's been going on. And all of that to say, Corey Trice, once again, if you guys wanted to kind of look into Corey Trice, the person and just like what he's been through in his life, it's a really wholesome story, man. It's a crazy story. And yeah, once again, I'm just hoping the best for Corey. I'm hoping he can not only continue to help us this season and in the future, but that he can just continue to play in the NFL in the future, whether it's for us, whether it's for a different team, we'll see. I just hope he can get healthy and stay healthy. And same thing for Alex Highsmith too. Big Alex Highsmith, man. Alex Highsmith, you're coming back for sure. And Nick Herbig is going to hold it down. And we're going to continue to be the best defense in the NFL. And you guys left on the best defense in the NFL. And you guys are going to return to the best defense in the NFL for sure. Next up, Brian Flores. Oh my goodness, man. I got to talk about this. So this is just absolutely nothing here. You know what I'm saying? You guys, how long are we into this video, man? We're already 20 minutes in. If you guys are still watching, you enjoying the content, once again, be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're still here and you're not subscribed already. But we got to talk about this. So we got some Brian Flores. Anytime an offensive coordinator tries to do anything, let's play this.
You don't want to do that. No, if you do that, I'm going to do that.
This is Brian Flores.
If you do that, I'm going to do that. If you do this, I'm going to do that.
If I get copyrighted for this, I'm going to lose my mind, by the way.
Do that.
Shout out to The Office. But pretty much any move that you make on offense, Brian Flores, he's going to lock that shit up. And we have another, this is like an NFL Films thing. I'm not going to play this, but pretty much the Vikings, you can see on this list, Vikings big number 2 in the NFL. And that is because their defense is playing really well, right? Their defense is playing outstanding. And Brian Flores, he's a fantastic defensive coordinator. But now, I am going to get some agendas off, ladies and gentlemen. It is time. Because, do you know where Brian Flores was last year? I'll let you guys type it out. Where was Brian Flores last year? Do. You got your answer? Do. Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Flores was on the Pittsburgh Steelers last year. And why am I telling you that? The Steelers, as I've mentioned, it is a surprise that we have the number 1 defense in the NFL for sure. It is a surprise to me. I don't know if it's a surprise to you guys, but it's a surprise to me, because we've always been a solid defense. And last year, we were a solid defense. The year before, solid defense. Before that, solid defense. Before that, probably not a solid defense as we get back to the Killer Bees. But you know what I'm saying? Our defense is fantastic, right? Our defense is always good, and we have a lot of good players, right? But we had Brian Flores last year, and he was only our middle linebacker's assistant or something like that. It was a weird role, but come on, guys, let's be honest. He had probably a pretty big influence in this defense, right? Last year, right? And I feel like I said right a bunch there, my bad. But he had a pretty big influence on the team, okay? That's what I'm trying to say. And on top of that, too, he had a pretty big influence. And did it feel like it, though? Did it feel like we had Brian Flores? My answer is no, it didn't feel like we had Brian Flores. In fact, Brian Flores pretty much was brought in to save Devin Bush. And who did we not save? It was Devin Bush who we didn't save, right? And so I'm saying that now. So we had Brian Flores, and it doesn't feel any different. Like, our defense plays exactly how they played before, and our defense still is pretty good. In fact, it's better. Not because of Brian Flores. I'm not trying to say that. But what I'm saying is our defense is good, right? And Minnesota, their defense has been fucking awful for forever. And if it hasn't been, then, sue me. But I'm pretty sure the Vikings have had a bad defense forever, right? Brian Flores goes there, and all of a sudden, these guys are the number 2 ranked team according to Stephen A. Smith, man. Brian Flores goes there, and they got an NFL Films post talking about their defense. Brian Flores goes there, and all of a sudden, shit is happening, right, for the Minnesota Vikings. So this is a guy who can go to a team and change life for him. And by the way, but he's always been a good defensive coordinator. You look back, even when he was a head coach, I don't want to say he was a good head coach. A lot of controversy there, especially for the Dolphins. We'll talk about the Dolphins in a second. A lot of controversy as him as a head coach, right? But as a defensive coordinator, this is his thing. He does this whole defense thing, okay? So he goes to Minnesota, absolutely changes life. He's in Pittsburgh, and it's business as usual. I am saying all of this because you all need to fucking apologize to Mike Tomlin, man, because all of the shit I hear about, our defense, it's overrated, Mike Tomlin, he's not doing this, he's not doing that. Brian Flores went to Minnesota, and all of a sudden these guys got 20/20 vision in their eyes. You know what I'm saying? These guys are playing lights out on defense with Brian Flores there. He's on the Steelers, and it is every single day. It is business as usual for the Pittsburgh Steelers. What does that tell me? That tells me that Mike Tomlin is him when it comes to defense. That tells me that Mike Tomlin is just one of the best defensive coordinators, one of the best defensive minds to ever hit the NFL, because Brian Flores goes to Minnesota once again. I don't know how many times I got to keep setting it up for you guys, but I'm just trying to paint the picture. Minnesota was down the fuck here. We were up here. Brian Flores leaves. We're still up here, and Minnesota is up here now. You know what I'm like? That is what happened. Like, Mike Tomlin, he just doesn't get his flowers, but I promise you, Mike Tomlin, I'm going to give you your flowers every time. And this was a giving flowers moment. If this didn't make sense to you, I will try to articulate it better in the future. But if it did make sense to you, thank you. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say about this. Mike Tomlin is just him. This is all positive for Mike Tomlin. Brian Flores too. Congrats. You know what I'm saying? I'm the Minnesota, my second favorite team. Shout out, keep doing it. Keep doing, that's my Madden team right there, Minnesota. So keep playing good on defense. Brian Flores, keep doing your thing. But this is all about Mike Tomlin, man. We just have a fantastic defensive mind, and we have fantastic defensive players. Speaking of fantastic defensive players, somehow, some way, this doesn't have anything to do with defensive players, but we got to talk about this. So Russell Wilson to the Dolphins. Should we trade Russell Wilson to the Dolphins? My answer is absolutely the fuck not. Because of all of the injuries that have happened, because we can see how easy it is for Justin Fields to get hurt or somebody to get hurt, and we need Russell Wilson to come in. We shouldn't trade him to the Dolphins unless, and hear me out, guys, unless if they are offering a top 3 pick in the first 3 rounds, if they give us one of those picks, I hate to tell you, man, but we might have to let you go, Russell Wilson, for that. We might have to let you go. But past that, we shouldn't trade Russell Wilson. We shouldn't, because, we got to be safe. If Justin Fields gets hurt, we need Russell Wilson to come in and do his thing. And I predicted Russell Wilson would be the starter, and I predicted he would play well for us, and I still believe that. And in fact, I think he would play well in Miami. However, if we do get a top 3 pick, if they want to send us a pick within the first 3 rounds, I think you consider it. And if Justin Fields goes down, who's out there? I don't know. Big Ben? I don't know. Kenny Pickett still? I don't know. Andy Dalton is literally hooping right now. You know what I'm saying? If Justin Fields goes down, fuck it. Get Duck back. Get somebody. Trade back for Mason Rudolph, whoever it is. But if we can get a top 3 pick for Russell Wilson, then hell yeah, do it. But I don't think we will. Of course not. That is just fairy tale land. But I'm just, I'm just entertaining the offer or whatever. But the Dolphins, bro. Rick, if you're watching this video, if you're still here, man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that this is even a real possibility, man. I really am. Hopefully Tyler Huntley balls out for you. But, if you guys want to give up a pick within the first 3 rounds and you want Russell Wilson, give me a call. Don't call the Steelers. Give me a call, and I'll debate on making it happen. You know what I'm saying? I'll run it up the chain, and we'll see if we can make that work. But realistically, and probably we shouldn't trade Russell Wilson, because you never know what's going to happen to your quarterback. And you need a quarterback in this league. If there is one thing that Kenny Pickett showed me, it was you need a, not too much on Kenny Pickett, man. I love that. I shouldn't do. You guys fucked me up, man. You Steelers fans, you guys ruined me. But if there's one thing Kenny Pickett showed me, it's you need the answer at the quarterback position. Anyways, I think that is going to do it for me for this video. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I make videos about the Steelers all the time, so if that's something that you're interested in, be sure to check out the channel. Anyways, this has been Zaya from Zaya&TheSteelers, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out. Also, just last point, this is like another late night upload, so shout out to the late night audience, and shout out to you guys if you're watching this in the morning. But really, shout out to the Vamps, man. Shout out to the people up at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Y'all my people for real. Peace out again.